Welcome back to week 5 of our Blessed study, where we have been figuring out what it looks like to be an everyday missionary wherever we happen to live, work, or play. And I just want to check in really quick. How has this been going? Have you been doing this? Has this been something you're just ruminating on? Have you been ready to just be like, put me in, coach? Where are you at on that spectrum? I remember the first time that I went through the Blessed study, I really had to just ruminate on it. Well, one, it was also COVID, so I couldn't really do any of the things that I was learning about. But it's something that I just had to think about and stew on for a little bit. How does this actually work? How do I do this? And maybe you're in a similar place. And no matter where you're at, I just want to thank you for engaging with this, because I think this is where God is moving the church. He wants to activate His saints for the works of ministry wherever we happen to be. And this is really critical stuff. I mean, this is a great tool to remember how we do that. But that's really the key. We need to know, we need to remember this stuff, because we've been talking about in the opening question today, scripture reading and prayer and journaling. Those are really important habits to develop, but how do we keep them top of mind so that we don't forget? Because if we don't remember to do them, we're not going to do them. And so for the Blessed Rhythm, how might we live that out more intentionally? I've heard people offer this, and I'll offer this as an idea. You know, using the E of bless as an example, we could use our times of eating and very intentionally schedule when we might eat with another person. So at our offices, we might typically eat our lunches alone. How could you use that time to eat lunch with a coworker? How could you use your time in the morning? Maybe you go to a coffee shop and you say, I'm going to make it a point to eat with 2 people this week, and one of those people is not going to be a Christian, or maybe both of them are going to be Christians, or neither of them will be. Whatever it's going to be, maybe it's just 1 coffee a week, 1 lunchtime a week, but you're just going to use that time to interact with people, and as you eat with them, then you work backward in the acronym. You eat, and then you listen to their stuff, and then you get to pray about their stuff, and then you get to start the whole thing over again with another person, and then you get to begin to identify the ways that you can serve them, which is the first S in our acronym of bless. And that's what we're talking about today. And I don't know about you, but whenever I think about serving, I usually think on macro levels, big scale. It's going to the soup kitchen to serve the homeless, or it's going to the church and volunteering at church on a Sunday morning. And those are great places to serve. And maybe that's exactly what God is calling you to do. But I think, and I just want to suggest this, I feel like this kind of stuff can short circuit our missional imagination. It can stop us from listening to the needs that are just around us by the people that we are already interacting with, by the people we already know. We don't have to look at the big 501c3 over here or our church to figure out where can I serve, because there are needs happening in the present all around us. How do we figure them out? And that's really the question that we need to figure out together. So how do we identify how we serve? Because, as our big idea states, God is inviting us to identify where the hurts and the needs of our community and our personal passions intersect, and He wants us to serve at that intersection. So as an example, at church, you might be invited to serve in the tech booth. Maybe you love technology, and that's a great fit for you. So your passions and the need are intersecting, and you're volunteering there. That's awesome. Or maybe you hate technology, and you want to be as far away from it as you can. Serving in the tech booth is probably not a great fit, right? We need to find where those two, our passions and our gifts and our personality, intersect with the needs and the hurts around us. And that's where we should serve. But figuring out how we can serve is a discovery process. And that's why we've begun with the BLE. We need to eat and listen and pray about people and about needs that we're seeing and uncovering, so that we might better know how to serve. Case in point, back a little while ago, Messiah Church, the church that I serve at, was doing food giveaways. They would have tons of people come through, they'd give away tons of food, and they did a kind of an exit interview. And our senior pastor, Ed Durner, was interviewing this one lady. And he said, well, what was your experience like today? She's like, do you really want to know? And he said, yes, I really do. And she said to him, we hate this. And then she proceeded to tell him how this experience as a hardworking single mom was so demoralizing, because she worked really hard and she didn't want to have to come and get a free handout to take care of her family. And after that, Messiah scrapped all the food giveaways they were doing, and they completely pivoted to doing what we now call the Bridge food store. And that was a fully functioning grocery store that people could afford. So it was still meeting the need, but it was meeting the need in the way that they were asking for it to be met. And that is how I would suggest all of us to learn how to meet the needs that are around us. We need to be present, and that's really all it takes. It's just ministry of presence. We don't have to do all this kind of crazy fact-finding or look at demographic surveys, although that can be helpful in figuring out how to meet a big need. But in meeting the needs of the people around us, wherever we happen to live, work, or play, it just is a matter of being present and paying attention and serving when the needs arise. So one example, I was mowing my lawn the other day, and I saw the kid who lived next door mowing his lawn as well. And I kept feeling this prompting inside me, go on, just like, go help him, go help him, go help him. And I was like, man, he's doing a chore. I don't want to get in the way. I don't want to make anyone upset. And I just was creating this whole crazy story. And finally, the nudging would not go away. And I said, fine, I will go and help. And so I walked over and I started mowing the lawn with him. And I said, hey, is it okay if I mow the lawn with you? And he said, sure. And I mean, I don't know what that's going to do. I don't know what that kind of produces, but maybe you're thinking, that would make me uncomfortable. Like, yeah, I know, it made me uncomfortable. But there are those moments where we get to just show up and be kind and be loving and be generous with our time and with our resources. And that's what it can look like to serve. It doesn't have to be this big macro thing. It can just be this small, hey, it looks like you need some help. Can I come over and help you? It's that kind of stuff. It's that kind of service. And sometimes it can be bigger. Sometimes it's not with our hands. Sometimes it's just lending a listening ear, or it's just being kind and generous with our words. But my goal, I would just love to plant this seed in you, is just what would it look like for you to be the great neighbor on your block? I think we've all had experiences of bad neighbors. We've all had experiences of great neighbors. I know I've had some amazing neighbors in my time, and what is it that made them so amazing, right? It's probably that they were present. It's probably that you saw them a lot. You probably saw them caring for the other people on your block. What would it look like for us to be those kind of people? For us to really take that command of Jesus to love your neighbor as yourself seriously and literally for the people who are around us. And one last thing I want to encourage you to do as you think about this, you start to apply this and you get to know the needs around you, I'd encourage you to build in a sense of reciprocity between you and your neighbors, because no one wants a handout. We already kind of talked about that with the story about the bridge. People want to help. People want to be needed, and people want to receive help as well. And it's knowing when each of those comes into play that makes all the difference. And so as you discuss this and figure this out, I hope that you hear me when I say that service does not look like just plugging in at some big organization. Service can happen at the micro level, just with the people who are around you. And so I hope that you have a great conversation, and I hope that God blesses you as you go out and serve.